down here. So we've got Bruce Colemen and Vanessa Hale from Ferrymead Park. Vanessa? Yeah. Yeah.
Kia ora tātou. Now for something completely different. We're going to focus on heritage. I'm Bruce Coleman, as I said. I'm a member of the Ferrymead Park Limited company. And Vanessa?
I'm the Park and Finance Manager, and I've been with Ferrymead for just over 5 years.
We'll try and keep this brief so that you have an opportunity to ask us some questions and keep us informed of what your views are. Basically, Ferrymead Park Limited is the company that was designated a couple of decades ago to actually run Ferrymead Park. So I'm sure you'll realise that Ferrymead Park is a home base for 18 heritage organisations overseen by a trust. Our particular role is to actually run the park on a day-to-day basis, employ staff, do events, all that sort of stuff. We've been running now for a couple of decades on a business model that says that we're supposed to get income from park events to run the place, to improve the place, to do capital improvements, to do all of that other stuff. I think it's very clear to us that that model needs a radical rethink. We just don't get enough income from that to be able to do all the things that we need to do. Over the last 2 years, I think it's fair to say that the board and staff have done a really good job of trying to push that model to its utmost by having, for instance, over Easter, we had some really good events and made an operating profit of about $7,000, which sounds good, but when you put that into all the things that we need to do in terms of capital, in terms of maintenance, in terms of earthquake thing, it's very little. So what we're basically asking the council to do is to work with us in a partnership to look at a different model for running Ferrymead, to say we've tried the current model and we don't believe it works. We, over the last 2 or 3 years, it's become clear that there are some short-term issues. We don't, for instance, currently have the ability to pay back some of the societies when they do stuff like running trains and trams. They do that at their own expense and their own expense to the material and all that sort of stuff. We can't actually pay any money back to them. We've got into a sort of a feedback loop where the more people you get into the park and the more things you have, that's great for heritage and for people seeing the heritage and being part of the heritage, but it also means you get more costs. So the whole model of trying to run events and so forth to get money to improve the park doesn't really work, because the more stuff you run, the more cost you have, and you kind of find yourself at a... I like to say that we've had really good support from the City Council over the years. The Strengthening Communities grant that we get most years has been crucial to Ferrymead surviving. We've had really good support from staff. So it's not a matter that we've been ignored by the City Council, more a matter that we think we need to go to the next level and look at, say, a partnership agreement with the City Council so that we can actually look at where Ferrymead's going to, what part it plays within the whole offerings of public supported things and heritage and tourism and all that sort of stuff, and work towards that. We have some particular issues that we think the council can offer us with. We've got earthquake, a number of buildings that need earthquake repairs, as you would imagine. We've had a lot of ongoing deferred maintenance, which is now getting to the point where if we don't do something about it, the park will become unsafe, and we won't, in all conscience, be able to really run the park anymore. We've got potential for new audiences, if you like the cruise ships is an obvious example, but that needs some work in terms of preparing for all that sort of stuff. And as a physical kind of amenity at the park has kind of run down a bit over the years. We do our best to keep it going and to pick it up, but it really does need some real major input to get it up to an international facility. So in summary, what we'd like the council to do is enter into a partnership with us to look at the business model that's currently operates at Ferrymead, and to see if we can't have a more forward-looking business model that's more realistic about income and expenditure and what it takes to operate a park like Ferrymead. It's perhaps a reasonable parallel to say that Motat in Auckland gets multiple millions of dollars from Auckland City, and so the 150 odd that we get from the council is probably fairly small compared to that. So first, enter into a partnership. Second, to develop a kind of a action plan to look at the various medium-term issues that we have around earthquake strengthening, around deferred maintenance, around getting around the park, developing the park into a first-class facility. And finally, we obviously support the targeted rate for heritage buildings. It's a great idea, but we don't support it being limited to the central city. Can't see why some of that money couldn't go towards support for heritage at Ferrymead, which after all is probably the only place in Christchurch where people can be actively involved in heritage rather than just going and looking at it.
Thank you. I mean, thank you. You've taken the time made available for the submission. No, that's fine. But thank you for giving some serious thought to the method by which you would want to consider a partnership over a couple of years with a business planning approach. So I really appreciate that, and we'll obviously take that into consideration when we look at the decision making on the LTP. So thank you very much for the time. The next one is Hugh Nicholson and Rachel